Hello.
Okay, it's
Yes.
okay.
Yes, yes. You are visible, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, okay.
Very good. चलिए साहब. Uh, are your audiences are there, or you have to wait for another 7 minutes?
We have to wait for 10 minutes.
Uh, can you make your yeah? Okay, let me make my volume more. Okay, okay. Uh, can I share my presentation here?
Yes, sir. But after your introduction, we will allow you
Okay,
to share.
okay, ठीक है. Okay. So okay, I am ready. Whenever you start, please let me know. Okay.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, Professor K.G. Prajapati, please proceed now.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Kirti Prajapati, Assistant Professor, Electrical Engineering Department, Government Engineering College, Palanpur. I extend my warm welcome to the dignitaries and all the participants connected with us on this digital platform to Atal Online Faculty Development Program on assessment and utilization of renewable energy resources. Now, I welcome you all to the first session of Day 5, Renewable Energy Policy and Regulation. Let me introduce to you our resource person today, who is one of the eminent personalities in the field of energy and power sector. Professor Anand Kumar, Professor of Practice, Electric Engineering Department, IIT Gandhinagar. Sir did his bachelor's in Electrical Engineering from IIT Roorkee and completed post-graduation in Business Management from Lucknow University. Sir has tremendous experience of 40 plus years in power sector, which include electricity regulation, reforms and restructuring of power sector. During his remarkable tenure, Sir has held various posts like chairman, acting chairman, secretary, senior specialist, and many more in electricity regulatory commissions in the states of Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Meghalaya. Sir has organized a number of programs and workshops to educate the investors, developers, and distribution licensees. Also made regulations to promote investments in wind, solar, and small hydro, and handled several cases of different issues relating to contract and others in the field of renewable energy regulation. We feel blessed to have such eminent personality on this occasion. I personally and on behalf of our organizing committee, thank you, sir, for connecting with us. Now, not taking much time, I welcome Professor Anand Kumar to shower the essence of his experiences on us. Welcome, sir.
Sir, you can unmute and share your screen.
Okay, it's okay. My voice is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. A very good morning to all of you. I cannot see your faces, but and it is very difficult to speak on the computer screen, and for 1.5 hours, it is a difficult task for me. But anyway, I will try my best. Whatever I can deliver, I will try to do it. But before I start up, I would like to explain the meaning of regulation also. Because what happened in last 20 years, electricity has a regulator in the sector. Regulations are a very important tool, and this is the basis of country's development. Wherever you see the development, there should be a good regulation. And that is my objective why I have joined IIT here, because I wanted to aware this knowledge, like the importance of regulation, the potential of regulatory authority in India, and the future, which is coming, I think, in a big way for regulators. So engineers, even economists and legal persons are core, workers of the regulatory authority. So basically, I wanted that everybody, have a knowledge that why these regulations are important and why I should, go for it. This is a good career also, because the development of a country depends upon in the hand of, the people who are working with the regulatory bodies. So regulatory bodies are very important bodies in the country, and you see in near future, a lot of regulatory bodies are being created, like in coal and railways. Airport has already this thing. Financial regulators are there, and then telecom regulator. You have seen what happened in the last 20 years in telecom sector. So it is all the job of the regulator to regulate the things and make the things more comfortable for the investor as well as for the consumers. That is the idea. Now, as you have selected the topic of renewable energy is also a very important topic in the present scenario. Not in India, but it is worldwide. Worldwide, people are threatened that why this coal generation should be there. If you study that, the whole of the air pollution is normally done through automobile and electricity generation if it is made from coal, gas or nuclear. So these are good for development, but once you started maturing or you are nearing to the developed state, I think one should switch over to this new renewable energy concept, because what happened in the last few years, if you go into detail, the greenhouses gases and the air pollution, this all has troubled the health of people of the country. And that's why we are thinking that okay, renewable energy should be there, but it is not very simple. I was just studying that if we go for the solar power, suppose solar power capacity today we have about 45 or 50 gigawatt. It is means 45,000 megawatt, which is very high, not a small number. Even in Gujarat, if you see that, about 5,000 or near to 5,000 megawatt is from solar, and about 6,000 from wind, or more than that, I think. Total, we have about 12,000. So you see, the renewable energy is good. There is no doubt, because there is no carbon emission. But the only issue is that when you have a lot of renewable energy in the grid, electricity grid, then sometime because of the variability nature of the renewable energy, it varies with the wind or solar light. So you have to be very careful and prepared for meeting that fluctuations. And that is the real challenge for today's engineers or the regulators. So I would like to brief you upon some of the policies, because it is a very big issue and it is very difficult to explain you in very short time. And most of them, you see that the policy and your regulations are mostly available on the websites of the either government or the regulator. And not especially in Gujarat, but all over country there are regulations are made. So before I take up the specific regulation, it is better if I tell you the process, how a regulation is made and what is the importance of the regulation. The country is bound by the legal framework. When a body is created or the power sector is created, then there was a law. It is a parliamentary job that they have made or created a law which we call Electricity Act 2003, which gives all this generation, transmission and distribution, and how this tariff is fixed, and if tariff is not satisfactory, then they can challenge it in the court or in the appellate tribunal. So how the appellate tribunal is formed, these are given in the act. But at the same time, suppose if we decide tariff, or if we decide something related to the act provision, then we have to make regulation. That is very important. And regulation is made in the similar way as Electricity Act or law is framed. Like first we make the draft, and then we public it on the website or on the newspapers. Through newspapers we invite comments, objections on the draft, and then after giving a lot of opportunity, 30 days or 34 days, then we invite public hearing if suppose there are objections. And then after hearing parties and all these objectors, public, regulators frame their final regulations. So when a regulation is framed, then it is a part of law. It is known as a law, and nobody can override it, or nobody can change it, or nobody can violate it. There are uh, there are a kind of contempt type of things if you don't follow it. So then regulation becomes a law, and that's why regulations are very important in a way that it gives the kind of a stability or firmness. Like if suppose some investor wants to invest in solar power, he will first go to the regulation and see that what are the method, how they will determine the tariff, how I will sell the electricity to licensee, or how I will save this, or how can I use this license, solar or wind for our own use. We call it captive. So these are given a part of the regulation. So when the regulation is framed, and if you want to change the regulation, then it is not very simple process. You have to again go for it, and then again the public debate will be there. So most of the regulators are not making the regulation for renewable energy, because renewable energies are very dynamic in nature. So what happened, the procedure is that normally we make the orders, we don't make the regulations, because suppose if I made the order, then the effectiveness of that order will be only for 2 or 3 years. And in the meantime, if there is some change, then you have a feature in the order that it can be revised by passing in separate order or amendment. But yes, normally we give opportunity to the public, so that they cannot say that, okay, we have not been consulted. So it is, a kind of a law. So if I have made a small presentation, and I will like to show you to you. You tell me whether it is there or not. Full screen if I make it, suppose.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Is it okay?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Very good. So I have tried to make first what is the law, and then what are the initiative I have taken, but it is in the initiative in respect of development of the renewable energy in the state, and then challenges and the way forward. Now, Electricity Act, they have different provisions. There are about 180 provisions or so. Out of that, yeah. Okay. So suppose 86, section 86. This is basically हम आपसे बात कर रहे हैं. So what happened that 86 provides that what is the function of the commission. So the first, or the function number E, there are number of functions are given. Out of this E, if you see that the regulator's job is to promote co-generation and generation of electricity from renewable energy by providing suitable measure. So what we will do, we will promote renewable energy by way of three things. One is we will allow sale of electricity to any person. If somebody generates from solar or wind or waste to energy, then the regulator will make a regulation so that the electricity can be sold to any person, and also specify for purchase of electricity from such sources. They also say that they can sell. Like suppose in Gujarat, the DISCOMs or the distribution companies will buy that energy if the regulator make the regulation in that way. But there is, there are certain, benchmark, or there are certain ceilings that over and above that ceiling you cannot purchase until unless the regulator allows you. So this is kind of a feature in the act that, okay, the regulator will make a regulation which will facilitate renewable energy generation, and by sale of electricity and purchase of electricity, and a percentage, that is very important, a percentage of total consumption of electricity in the area of that distribution licensee. Now, this we call renewable purchase obligation. In Gujarat, we have made this RPO, we call RPO. RPO is around 17%, means out of 100% of the electricity consumption in the state of Gujarat, 17% the DISCOMs are bound to buy from the renewable energy. And in megawatt term, if you see this, we have a demand of about 15,000 megawatt. Now 15,000 megawatt demand, if you convert in the this thing consumption, then it is about 90,000 million unit in a year. Out of 90,000 million unit, you have to find out 17%. And that way you have to see that it is around 12,000 or so megawatt from renewable energy. So that's why the whole state is bound by that order, and they have to purchase electricity in that ceiling. That is the first function. Now, what are the initiative we have taken? Because as I told you that we have to promote the renewable energy. So what are the renewable energy regulations? First regulation is, I have written in the last, that FIT orders. FIT orders, what is this? This is feed-in tariff. Because what happened, the law says that till the technology of that source is not matured, the regulator can allow a preferential kind of tariff without going into the details. Suppose, for example, recently waste to energy project has come to Gujarat with a new technology, because if the technology is not good, then there will be more pollution. So it is a kind of waste management methodology with generation of electricity from waste. But it is a very good technology where the pollution is not there. So that is a new technology. Now we don't know about the numbers, like what is the capital cost of the project, or what technology they will use, and how much tariff we should fix. So then in that case, it is better to give a normative kind of tariff. Like, okay, we have work out on the basis of old plants, and then we have conferences with the buyers and the sellers, and then we have found that okay, it can be 6 to 7 rupees, because it is an expensive plant and initially cost is very high. So we thought that okay, it is better to give a preferential tariff. So that is the FIT order, means feed-in tariff. Initially it was also for solar and wind, but in last 3 years we started competitive bidding in that case, because technology was matured for the last 10 years. Wind power or wind generators cost is all come to the public. So we thought that it is better to go for competitive bidding, and that is real advantage to the state, because what happened, the cost which we have fixed in feed-in tariff, FIT orders for wind, it was around 4 rupees. Now, when we invited bids and went for the competitive bidding, it came around 2 rupee 50 paise or so. So you see that difference, because what happened, there were a lot of investors came, and the money from internationally it came, which a very low finance cost, and the machine was also in the inventories. So a lot of people participated in that, and that benefit went to the state. Consumers got only 2 rupee 46 paisa wind energy. Similarly, in solar tariff was very high initially when it was started, I think 10 years back, in 2006 or so. So that was around 12 rupees or so. Now it has come to 2 rupees. A recent tender has given a 2 rupees or 1 rupee 99 paisa. So this is a kind of competition is now coming up. But what are the challenges? I will try to explain you in the last. But yes, this is the first regulation or first order for the promotion of renewable energy. Now, when you generate renewable energy, how it will be transmitted? So there should be a grid code. Grid code means how the transmission company will give access to it, and what will be the charges for that, and what technical requirement will have to be followed by the generator. Then open access regulation. What is open access? Open access is a kind of option or choice to a consumer to buy its power other than from the licensee. Like suppose you are a residential consumer, and if you have open access facility, means you can choose seller from Delhi or Bombay and make an agreement with them. and take power from them in their lines, in the Gujarat company's line. But yes, for that we have made regulations, open access regulation, and that entitles only consumers more than 4 megawatt or so. 4 megawatt consumers mean industries or big consumers who can, make an agreement, who can in position to buy power from the exchange. We have a power exchange in country in Delhi and Bombay, and there you can get, everyday price. Maybe shared, it is half an hour price or 15 minutes price. So you can buy it from there, and it depends upon demand and supply. So this is the second regulation we have made. Similarly, RPO regulation also we have made, because as I told you that in the law it is mentioned that some percentage of your total consumption has to be bought from renewable sources. So RPO regulation we have framed. In that regulation we have given the targets, like how much has to be purchased from wind, how much to be purchased from solar. So that is the RPO regulation. And MYT regulation is a very important regulation. This is the multi-year tariff regulation, because ultimately tariff is the main outcome of all these things. If somebody generates in Gujarat, or somebody buy it, or somebody sell it to consumer, the tariff is the main issue. So MYT is nothing but a multi-year tariff, means every year you have to do this exercise. But in the last few years, the regulators thought that, okay, we can make a tariff application for 5 years, because what happened, the power is not a very isolated thing. You have to make it more dynamic. So give us a blueprint for at least 5 years, means how much investment you will make every year, you have to give it to the regulator, and then regulator will decide tariff every year on that basis. So it is the only advantage is that there should be a blueprint made by the utilities, because utilities, if they file annual, then they are not bothered how much energy will be purchased next year or after next year, means in next 5 years how much the energy they will purchase or how much energy they will sell. That is not clear to them. So this regulation is given this direction that, okay, you go ahead and buy energy for another 5 years, so that your capital investment in transformers, in lines, it is all, perfect. And consumers are well aware that, okay, in next 5 years the tariff rise, it will be around 5 paisa or 10 paisa or so. So that is kind of, so I am going to give you the brief details I have already given to you. And then uh, I have already told you why we need renewable energy, because number one, fossil fuels are depleting. Number two, greenhouse gas effect and global warming is the, health hazards. Third thing is the climate change. You see the extremities of climate in the last few years. You have a lot of floods, a lot of this thing, feminine. So there are, these changes are now, we feel that it is because of global warming and temperature rise. And that's where the renewable energy is now becoming more important. The price is also getting down. If you compare the price of the renewable energy, it is around 2 rupee 50 paisa to 3 rupees. While if you buy power from the coal or gas, it is not less than 4 rupees or 450. If you put a new plant, it will not come less than 440 or 450. So but there is a indirect cost. If you, as I told you, there is an indirect cost of renewable energy. And if I give you a kind of thumb rule, then you may add 1 rupees, because what happened, you have sometime there is no power, then you have to run gas plants. And whenever there is a fluctuation, I will show you the kind of fluctuation here. So then the price, of other plants are added to it, because what happened, if your plant is not running at 60% or 70% PLF, that coal plant, then all the efficiencies have to be compromised. Like your station heat rate is, increased, so you need more coal. Then your auxiliary consumption is increased. So that's kind of, indirect cost is there. So if you add 1 rupee, then only your tariff of, power purchase will not be more than 350 paise. So in a way, health is also protected, your environment is protected, and you have a sustainable future. Sustainable future means Sustainability, what is sustainability? Sustainability is that you do not compromise for the present in future. Like whatever we use resources today for our present need is not affecting the demand of our next generation people. So that is the renewable energy is the main, sustainable resource for the country. So that is the importance of that. But we need land, we need sea for, we are thinking of now offshore wind, like inside the sea, because the, capacity of air or wind capacity is very good in the, seaside, but there are different, features of that. I'm not going into detail for that. But yes, we are thinking of offshore wind machines. Then the problem is the variability. I will explain how the variability will, give problems. Small hydro is one of the renewable energy, but in Gujarat, it is not so, available because we don't have natural resources. Only thing is that we have canals for irrigation purpose. So we can use machine of a small nature up to 25 megawatt or so. Solar is, is unlimited source of power and is the key to the clean energy. Every day the sun gives light, so we can produce, power for them. And then wind is also cost effective. Wind creates job means if you have a manufacturing facilities, naturally it will create a lot of jobs. But yes, the issue is we are mostly in solar, we are depending upon the imported things because of silicon wafers are not, made in India. So most of them are either coming from China is the major, things. That is the challenge. For sustainability, I told you that there are three things. One is the environmental sustainability. Then the second is the social sustainability. Both are interlinked. If your environment is good, society is healthy. The third is the economic sustainability. This is very important because what happened, the energy security, like suppose if you are dependent on other countries and your whole, targets of the solar is based on the assumption that, okay, we will get such amount from outside. Because you see in last year, we have imported around 20,000 crores Indian rupees worth solar cell. And that's why manufacturing capacity in India is very necessary. But the problem is the silicon wafers. That is definitely required. And at least, and suppose if we go for the new capacity, what we are talking of today, we have a capacity, we have a target fixed 175 gigawatt. Now 175 gigawatt by 2022. Out of 175 gigawatt, we have reached to at least 100 gigawatt at present. But solar is about 100 gigawatt. And out of 100 gigawatt target, we have achieved only 45 or 50 So we have a big, target for next 2 years. And moreover, over and above this, the government is thinking of going for 450 megawatt, 450 gigawatt in next, 10 years. And that is the biggest challenge for us. Okay, so for that we need about 35 gigawatt addition solar energy every year. And in Gujarat also, we thought that it should be around 1,000 to 2,000 megawatt every year from solar. So that kind of situation, if your domestic facility is not available, and if you increase the duties, custom duty and safeguard duties on the imported items, then naturally we have to create the capacity within our country. And that is the real challenge for us because silicon wafers has to be imported, rest cell can be made. So we have to create a capacity to, meet out this requirement. And this is the biggest challenge in the front of us. As I told you that number one thing is that renewable energy is all must run. What is must run? Actually, what happened whenever we fix tariff, we take in the merit order. Like first, we will buy the cheapest source. Like suppose Singrauli plant has only cost of 1 rupee. So we will say that, okay, whatever capacity we have allotted from this thing, Singrauli, let us buy it because it is the cheapest. So first the cheapest and then the expensive one, then more expensive, then more expensive. So this is the merit order we have to follow. But for renewable energy, we have given them must-run status because it is zero cost energy. There is no variable cost in it. Whenever there is a wind, you can generate it. Whenever there is solar light, you can generate it. So we have said that, okay, whenever nature permits you, you generate it and the licensee will buy your power first. So that is the kind of status or privilege to them. Then there is also a feature that they can sell it to third party. Third party means they can, yeah. You want to say something? Okay. So, so it is important that if you ask any question, you can ask if you have anything in your mind. Is it okay? Should I start?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please continue.
Okay. So, third party sale means suppose if I put a plant not for my use or not for DISCOM use, then it can be sold to any other consumer. That is the third party sale. Similarly, captive use means 100% utilization by us. Means if I need power, then I can put my own plant for captive use. So these privileges given to the renewable energy, yes, you can have a plant for your own use, for third parties use, or you can sell it to the DISCOM. And for that, we have fixed targets. This RPO regulation fixes the target. Now, the present one is 17%, like 17% is the total, and then 8% from solar and 8.25% from wind. If you convert in the megawatt term, it will be around 8,000 megawatt from wind, 8,000 megawatt from solar, and from others, it is about less than 100 megawatts. So like this, we create targets and the licensee are bound to buy it from the market or from the bidders. If they cannot buy it or if they cannot produce it, then there is a provision of renewable energy certificates. Now, these certificates are, this certificate has the concept of like some state, those who have no, renewable energy sources with them. Like suppose northeast states, they don't have wind capacity or they don't have solar capacity because there is a lot of rains. They have very nominal capacity. Then what happened? The targets are fixed to for everyone the same targets. How they will meet that? Then they can buy REC. REC is also is a kind of a trading method where you can buy a certificate but you don't get the energy, and that certificate can be bought at the price of about 50 paisa so or 1 rupee. So suppose this is also an extra cost to the consumers. So regulators are also very conscious about it, and it is also a challenge where there is no potential how they will meet the targets. Now the second thing is that Regulatory Commission has in the law it is mentioned that you have to provide them the connectivity. So we are bound to give them connectivity. Suppose somebody wants to put up a wind or solar power in Gujarat, then the Gujarat companies like Jetco, who is the transmission company, they have to create the lines and they have to create the substation, and from substation they will connect their power station. So the overall, in the country or in the state in Gujarat, we have allowed a lot of investment in the last few years. And if you see the kind of investment, about 2,500 crores each year we have given to the utility to run to make extra transmission lines to those places where potential of renewable energy is there, like Saurashtra or Kutch. There are a lot of solar power is coming, so we have given them funds and they have created line. So if line is there, then there is no constraint. The power will be flowing smoothly to any part of the state, and that's why it is the job of the regulator to create such preparation or preparatory work before we invite the bids from solar or wind. Now, open access regulation, I have already explained to you that, okay, open access regulations. Before it, if I go for the policy of solar, let me go now. This figure is very important. If you see that, this is the challenge to the operators who operate the grid. Like there is, the whole power sector is divided into four, branches. One is your generation branch, where we generate power either from coal or from, wind or from gas, and that is the company generation company. Then this generation will transmit on the higher voltage transmission lines, and that is we call transmission company, where in Gujarat is above 132 kilowatt. So if you go 132 kilowatt and above, then 132 kilovolts, sorry, 132 kilovolts and above, then you have to go in the transmission. And then the third is your distribution. And the fourth one is very important, which is you call as state load dispatch center. Their job is like a air traffic controller. They control the traffic of light, a traffic of electricity, like from which part electricity has to, go to which part of the state. And their job is very, difficult, because what happened, electricity is such a commodity that it cannot be stored. Where whatever we generate, we have to use it. So suppose their job is to match the demand and supply, and make the frequency around 50 hertz every time. So that is the reason why the fluctuation of wind and solar is a matter of, challenge for them. You see that uh, on this is on some day which I have taken from them. It is around 2300 megawatt at the point, suppose at 21 hours, and at 21, this is the time block. Means if you divide the time blocks of 24 hours in 15 minutes each, then there will be 96 time blocks. So at least suppose you understand that at 26 time block, it was 2300 megawatt, and within you see in half an hour, because 26 if you see 40, so about 1.5 hour they reduce it to 687. Now from where it power will come, because you are using this power, and this power has a shortage now, about more than 1500 megawatt. So this is the situation. It is was in 2017, when the wind capacity was around 4,000. Now wind capacity has reached to 8,000 megawatt. So you can imagine that this will be double. So if your loss of about 4,000 to 5,000 megawatt in 1 hour or so, then the company should be prepared. The generating company should be prepared to deliver such energy from other sources, and that is the real challenge. Then for that, what we do, we start our either gas plants, or we can run our plants. We don't stop our plants, because start over take times. So what happened that they reduce it to 40% or 50%, not more than that, because the capacity of the machine in Gujarat has a feature that it cannot go beyond 55%, and that is why the cost of oil or extra cost of fuel is matter to us. Now we are going for the flexibility issues, and with flexibility, we need certain modification and certain renovation in the machine, so that machine can run up to 35% of load. If we make our machine able to run up to 35% capacity of the total installed capacity, then naturally we have cushion. We can go from 35% to 100%, and that is a real benefit to the state. But that needs little investments, like 50 crores per 100 megawatt or so. So that is also a challenge for the regulator, because ultimately, as I told you, the price of electricity matters to common man. And that is a very sensitive issue, because no government wants that there should be a tariff shock kind of thing. Tariff should not go, haywire. So you cannot go more than 10% or 15% in 1 year, because if you do it, then there will be a lot of, crisis in this state. And that's why regulators are also, in they are also cautious, that how this investment has to be made and how we will cope up this kind of situation when there is a lot of variation in the energy. For solar also, you see, solar trend is almost common, but sometime, someday in the, even in rains, there is a lot of, disability. So rain season is gone 4 months. Then also you see the kind of variation within a block of about, 55 to 79 means about 20 block of time means about 4 hours. Within 3-4 hours, the solar is gone. So we need that power. We need that power from conventional source, and that is the challenge. Now, since I have told you that policy is made by the government, they are the policy makers, and to meet the objective of the policy, regulations have to be framed, and that has to be done by the regulator. So there are major two stakeholders who makes the policy and regulation in the state. However, there are many stakeholders who implement it, like DISCOMs, like generating company and distribution company. In Gujarat, we have two type of participation. One is the private. We have about 50% of generation from private companies and 50% generation from the government company. Similarly, we have about 50% from or 60-70% from coal and gas and rest from solar or wind. Solar has about 25% capacity we have. So this is the kind of situation here. So in last year, in the month of December, the government has come up with a new policy. And the feature of that policy was, very interesting to see, because what happened, the DISCOM business is also very important thing. Whatever you see in the other state, the DISCOMs are not profitable. They are in loss. Why they are in loss? Because of two things. One is that their transmission and distribution and commercial losses are very high. So naturally, if you have losses more than 30 or 35%, then naturally you have to recover your money within 60% of your electricity. And that is the biggest challenge for the companies, that how to recover their cost. So why they are not in good shape. But luckily Gujarat has a very sound financial position of the utilities. Our all utilities of government and private, they are in profit, and I am proud to say that in the last 5 years their profit is increased, while the tariff is not so increased in such a manner. There is a variation, yes. Tariff is not increased, but there is a variation in the fuel surcharge. What happened? There is a special feature in Gujarat that every quarter, whatever the price of coal or gas, if it is a variable, like this is internationally driven, and some of the coal is getting from imported, so your variation is very high. So for that, the regulator has made a kind of arrangement that they can go for the fuel surcharge adjustment. And in my period, if you see this in 5 years, the fuel surcharge is increased. I will not say that it will not increase, but it has increased not more than 50 paisa or so. The charges are high. I will say that, okay, about they are charging about 2 rupees as a fuel surcharge, and tariff is around 5 or 550. So 7 rupees is the tariff. But if you compare it with the kind of generation we have as I told you, more than 80 or 80% generation from coal and gas. And moreover, our coal is, transported from very far places. So our freight is very high. About 1 rupee 50 paisa we are paying for the freight, and 1 rupee 50 paisa for the coal. So overall, the coal transportation costing us around 3 rupee or so, and then you add the generation cost like power plant cost, it will more than 150. So your total cost is not less than the input cost is not less than 4 rupee 50 paise, and then you add the transmission cost, and then you add the distribution cost. So your tariff cannot be less than 550 in any way, and 550 is not a big thing for for this business, because if you compare it with other states, leave Uttarakhand, because Uttarakhand has all hydro projects and that too are very old. So their tariff is low, but otherwise everywhere in the country the tariff is not less than 7 rupees or so. But yes, it is a challenge. Uh, and why I was talking about the Discom financial position, because if Discom is in good shape, then you will get this 24/7 supply, and then you will be able to promote renewable energy. Because what happened, the kind of participation from investor in Gujarat, if you compare with other states, why the people are interested in Gujarat? Because of the fact that Discom are healthy. And if Discom pay their dues, if you see the receivable position, which is very important, if you compare the kind of dues, dues towards power companies, there is no dues in the towards the power company in Gujarat. While you see the other states like UP or Bihar or even many states, they have more than thousands of crores of dues. So that is the reason why people or companies are interested in coming to Gujarat at a lower price. If you see the competitive bidding, our prices are almost lowest in the country. 1 rupee 99 paisa was came in Rajasthan, and the same was here. While Rajasthan has a very good potential for this thing, solar, very high potential. But here also we found that 1 rupee 90 paisa, 99 paisa came, while wind also 2 rupee 46 paisa or 2 rupee 60 paisa. This type of order has come to Gujarat. So why I am worried that, okay, financial position of the companies are very important. So for that, the regulator has to be cautious that your tariff is to be given every on 1st of April, so that your new tariff has come. And moreover, the tariff rise should also be not so high that people are people are deprived of their benefits. But the only thing is that 24/7 quality of power is available in Gujarat, and that is the real advantage of that. So for that, we have to sometime protect the Discom business, because if you have allowed everyone to go for the captive power, like if they put solar power on their premises and take this advantage for own consumption, then there is a chance that the position of the revenue to the utilities will be affected. And that is the reason why the solar rooftop business was not so good in the past few years. But recently what happened, since the tariff of the solar rooftop, tariff means solar rooftop, you go for your own use, but you are not always using it. So there is a surplus, always surplus, and that surplus is bought by the Discoms. So initially, last 2 years, what happened? There was a very good tariff that was around 3 rupee 50 paisa or 3 rupee 60 paisa. So the Discoms was affected. One side they were affected by the revenue because you are not purchasing electricity from them. You are using your own solar rooftop, but at the same time they have to pay 3 rupee 50 paisa to you for your surplus power. So then what happened, that everybody wanted to go for more solar plants in their house, more than their capacity to use. Like suppose you have a 5 kilowatt load, so you can go for 10 kilowatt load, and then you use 5 kilowatt for your own use, and 5 kilowatt you pump in the grid and get 3 rupee 50 paise as a business. So what happened? Then we decided to, okay, make it a little less and make it to 2 rupee 25 paise, and then that is the reasonable. Because what happens? Suppose the cost to the utility to buy power from other sources is around 3 rupee 50 paise. So if they get power at 2 rupee 25 paise, naturally they will be very happy, and they will get 1 rupee rebate. And at the same time, the balance is also there, because when you not get surplus money, then you will also go for your requirement only. Let's suppose as a industry, your requirement is only 100 kilowatt. So you have to go for 100 kilowatt. But that was the real challenge for us. Now the key point of this solar policy is that the earlier there was a ceiling for industry. For residential there was no ceiling, but for industry it was a ceiling that okay, you can go up to 50% of your contracted load, because suppose you have 1000 kilowatt load, so you cannot go for captive for more than 500 kilowatt. That was the ceiling. But in the new solar policy, the government has removed this ceiling, maybe because of the fact that whatever surplus utility will get, they will get at about 2 rupee 25 paisa or so, or maybe less than that. So that is giving benefit to the utility. So they have removed the ceiling, and moreover, the government wanted that solar power should be promoted in a big way to meet the center government targets, and that was the reason that they have come with the new solar policy. So earlier there was a cap of 50%. Now they have removed it. Now they have also reduced the security. Security is also there, that if you connect with the utility, your own power, solar power, then there is a security amount for for creating line for you, and that line for that line you have to give some security. So initially it was 25 kilowatt at 25 lakhs per megawatt. Now it has reduced to 5 lakhs. So there is also a kind of relief to the consumers who go for solar. Now, they say the state would purchase surplus energy from residential and micro, small, and medium enterprises consumers after setting off their consumption. Means whatever they use and more over and above, if there is anything left, they will purchase it. The DISCOM will purchase this 2 rupee 25 paise per unit. And this move, while is a net positive, is also because what happened, they have also mentioned gross metering and net metering, but I think there is a change now. They have come to net metering, because what is the difference between gross metering and net metering? That is also very important to know. Gross metering means that whatever energy you generate, give it to the grid, but your consumption bill will be separate as per the tariff of the regulatory body. Means you will get only kind of sale of energy price. You cannot use that. But net metering is that whatever you use and net of that, means suppose you have generated 100 units, you have consumed 50 units, so 50 units is net, and that is given to the grid, and for that you will get money, but 50 you can set off against your bill. So that is the real advantage. I think that is now clarified. So I'm not sure because I left that office, but yes, I think they have clarified it. So there is a net metering. For other consumer, the surplus power will be purchased for 7. They say that, okay, there is also a new provision in this policy that competitive bidding is a benchmark. Like suppose in last 6 months, the prices open by the bid is 2 rupee 50 paise and 260. So there is an average of 2 rupee 55 paise. So that is the benchmark that, okay, you will get 75% of that. Means 75% of 2 rupee 60 paisa, that will be the surplus power rate. This is the. Now, another features of this policy is that every policy has a operative period. Means this policy, the new policy has come in 2021 beginning, so it will go up to 25 year end, and whatever solar projects installed and commissioned. This is very important. If your plant is commissioned within this period of 5 years, then you will get this benefit. Suppose you have installed this plant in 2025 and it could not be completed because of some reason like pandemic or so, then you will not be able to get the benefit of this policy. This policy will not apply on you. This policy will only apply on you if you are installed and commissioned the plant within that date. Now you can go up to 1 megawatt or 1 kilowatt. There are two ratings of this thing. Some are small, so they can start from 1 kilowatt, like solar rooftop or distributed generation at your farmhouse or at the agriculture pump set. So their minimum is 1 kilowatt. But yes, if you are industry and big consumer, then you have to go from 1 megawatt. Now, residential, as I told you, there is no bar, third-party sale is allowed. This is also a very interesting feature this year they have introduced. Initially, solar rooftop has to be installed by yourself, like a consumer has to install. There was no third-party things. Now, if there is a developer who wants your premises only, like your chat, your roof, then they can give a lease agreement with you and give it to the developer, and that developer put its plant and they will run that plant, and they will have a lease agreement with you and you will get some benefit. Second thing is that, okay, they can go as an aggregator also, like they can select a colony and for all colony, they can fix up their plants on their own. They will not charge you, but they will have an agreement with you that, okay, whatever tariff you are paying to the companies or whatever tariff you are paying to the discoms, I will charge only 75% of that. That can be done because regulation says that any consumers cannot be charged over and above the tariff which the regulator has fixed. Suppose I have fixed you tariff of 5 rupee 50 paise, but if anybody else is giving you less than that, then we have no problem. You can go for it. So that is the new thing which has come to the new policy. Then there is banking charges. Now they have introduced a new thing that, okay, because whatever you don't use, it is a bank kind of thing, like you are injecting in my grid, and it is quite possible that suppose if I don't have any demand, then I will charge you banking. Banking means the surplus energy which is coming to the grid, and for the time they will be in the grid. That is the charges of banking. So for residential, there is no banking charges, but for commercial and industries, they have put a banking charges of rupees 1 rupee or so if they, if they have to give it for their generation. Whatever they generate, they have to pay over and above 1 rupee price. So this is a kind of revenue given to the discoms. So that is, I think they have made it balanced thing, like the consumer is also win and the discom, which are affected with the captive powers, they also win. What happened in this program, since you have asked me for the explanation of the regulation, what happened, every regulation for solar, wind, and other renewable sources, we make mainly two things very important. One is the tariff. Tariff means at what tariff we will buy it. Discom will buy it. And the second important thing is that how the connectivity is made and what will be the charges of it. And there are a number of conditions in it, like suppose there are commercial terms. So two important elements of there. Now what happened, I thought that I should explain everything to you, but I find that in last or present, there is no feed-in tariff in the state for solar or wind. There is all competitive bidding. So half portion is gone. Like we are not going to determine the tariff for them. But there are other conditions like how much they will charge for transmission of that energy, how much they will charge for wheeling of that energy. Transmission and wheeling are two words. Transmission means on the high tension transmission line, and wheeling is on low tension lines like distribution company lines. So that are the conditions. So I thought that I can explain you how the feed-in tariff is made through the regulation, because this is the important part. But yes, it is not applicable for solar and wind. It will only be applied for small hydro or similar biomass or so. So I am explaining you the regulation which is made for small hydro, and that way how the tariff is fixed, you can at least know. And this is nothing but a regulation. So every regulation has an objective, and that objective is similar to what the policy has made, like promotion of renewable energy. So that regulation prescribes such terms and condition which will promote the renewable energy in the state. Then it gives the regulatory certainty, like as I told you, that the investor is ready to invest money, And the most important thing is the financer, because all these projects are financed in the ratio of 70-30. Means 70% is financed by the banks or by the financial institutions. So if you don't have a regulation, then they will not give you finance, because they don't know how your energy will be purchased and at what rate. So this is very important to have regulatory certainty. So then the regulation also cover the risk. They address the risk of the companies. They also cover the risk of the consumers. How the consumers are protected and how the investors are protected, and how the DISCOM business will be safeguarded. Like suppose technically how it will be safeguarded. Like if you put a solar machine of inferior quality, it gives you not quality power, then their system will be affected. So what kind of that technical feature will be that regulation may cover. Then ensure financial viability. When we make the regulation, then the tariff is fixed, and the tariff is fixed, then there is a financial viability. Somebody will say that, okay, if I get 3 rupees 50 paise for next 25 years, naturally we will be in good shape. So financer will also be comfortable, they will provide you loan. Then there is the operational norms. You have to fix the operational norms. Operational norms is nothing but the cost of your employees who are working on that machine, then administrative and general cost, and then your repair and maintenance cost. All this kind of things comes under operation. So operational norms are given that, okay, you can run up to this efficiency or this percentage of CUF we call, and then your charges will be such and such. So that is covered under operational norms. We promote operational efficiency. We give single part or two-part tariff. Now you have to understand what is the difference between single part and two-part tariff. Single part tariff is there where there is no energy is involved, like where there is no fuel is involved, like renewable energy. There is no fuel cost. So the tariff is single part. How much you generate, you will get that money, because it is already giving you fixed cost. But thermal plants have a fuel cost. You use coal or gas. It means that cost has to be given separately, and fixed cost has to be given separately. The only disadvantage in single part tariff is that whenever you don't produce electricity, you will not get anything. But in two-part tariff, the fixed cost is protected, and the company is getting fixed cost. If the plant is in the position to run, they have to prove that, okay, my plant is not under shutdown. It is in position to run, but I cannot run it because my fuel cost is high and you have not ordered me for merit order. So, but they will give the fixed cost. And this happens in our state because sometimes, in market, the price is very low. It may be 1 rupee or 1 rupee so or 2 rupees. Then what happened? The expensive plants, we say that, okay, don't run it. Give the fixed cost of that, because fixed cost is not more than 1 rupee in thermal plants. So if you give 1 rupee to them and 2 rupee you buy it from the market, total cost will be 3 rupee. So, and the energy cost of expensive plants are 350. So at least you will save 2 rupees per unit. And that is the biggest advantage in two-part tariff. But yes, in renewable energy, we allow only single part tariff. That is the concern for the investor also, because if there is no, nature thing, means wind or solar, then they will not get anything. So that is the reason they also want that there should be some kind of dim generation, or sometimes lines are not working. So they will not get anything because that power is not reached to the utility. So this kind of provision has to be made in the regulation. Then what happened? There are two types of tariff, as I told you: project-specific tariff and generic tariff. Generic tariff is nothing but a preferential tariff, a feed-in tariff, where we don't go into the details of the cost. We give a normative tariff. And project-specific tariff is that where a complete DPR is, submitted before the commission. Commission examine it and then decide what the cost plus tariff will come. That is the project-specific tariff. Then there is a law for we have to abide by the law. There is a law that, okay, you have to follow the central government law as well as state government law, and whatever you decide the tariff, the principle should be in line with the central commission. That is the law. Now, as I told you, there are tariff design, cost plus tariff हो सकता है. Control period of that regulation is very important. Like I have told you that 3 years is the period of control. Then useful life is very important because for how much time this tariff will be fixed. Like for small hydro, it is 35 years, but for wind and solar, it is 25 years. So you have to fix the tariff for 25 years. And for that, you have to know the cash flow kind of things. You have to determine tariff every year for 25 years, and then you have to find out an average of that, and that is the levelized tariff for 25 years. Then the most important thing in the small hydro or any renewable energy, the capital cost, because capital cost means the machine cost and the land cost and the transmission evacuation cost. So this is the major cost which is the affect the tariff of the consumers. So this is the important area. So commission generally examine it because we have to decide the tariff without going into the details of the companies who are coming in the state. So we are very careful how the capital cost should be determined. So in the last few years, we have done a study. We have given this assignment to some agencies. They have worked it out, and then we see and we compare with the other states how much should be a solar wind cost or wind machine cost. So in that way, we decide the capital cost of the plant. And then in the operation and maintenance charges, as I told you, there are 3 components: employee cost, A&G cost, and repair and maintenance cost. But this is on the normative basis. We don't go into the details. So we normally take 2.5% or 3% of your capital cost. That has also been done by looking at the experience of past plants. And that's why we fix these norms, 2.5%. Then capacity utilization factor is another feature which is very important for determination of tariff. If you have a better capacity utilization factor, you have a lower tariff. But the lower capacity utilization, like in solar, you have a capacity utilization is around 20% only. So you see that the whole cost has to be divided in 20% of energy of that plant. So then naturally the cost will be high. But if you see that thermal plant, their plant load factor, we say it is around 85% or so. So naturally their cost of generation will be less. But in competitive bidding, it is very surprising to see that they are offering only 2 rupee 50 paise or so. Maybe the cost of financing is very low. Technology is also very improved. So there is a competition. You never know how much it will be. Then auxiliary consumption, as I told you, that like other machines, these machines also have small motors to run something. In a small hydro, it is auxiliary consumption. So we give them 1%. Then debt equity ratio, as it depends upon the demand of the market, like how much banks are financing. If banks are financing not more than 70%, then we take it 70-30. But if banks are able to finance 75-25, means 75% of the project cost, then we can take it 75-25. But yes, it depends upon cost of capital. Cost of capital means cost of financing. Cost of financing of loans is depend upon the market, how much banks are charging. But return on equity, which is on the 30% of your equity, if there is a 70-30% ratio, then 30% equity are getting 16% return. In Gujarat, it is 14%, but our other states, they have 16%. So if you compare the rate of return on equity and cost of capital of loans, then naturally loans are cheaper. So it depends upon the banks. If the project is good, then they can go up to 80%, and we can allow the financing up to 80%. But yes, the interest of loan or the interest of loan and the rate of return, if it is not comparable, then it is better to go for the loans at the moment. So your tariff will be lower. Now, another important thing is the depreciation. When you take the interest on loan in your tariff, then you have to consider the principal amount which the developer has to pay back to the banks. So that is why depreciation is charged. Depreciation is to, make the principal payment of the machines cost. So how you have fixed the depreciation rate? If the philosophy is that principle says that a straight line method should be used. What is straight line method? The straight line method is nothing but a kind of, the cost of financing. Suppose we have 100% cost, 70% loan, so 70% of your capital, and this 70% of your capital is divided into 25 years, straight forward, like on a straight line method. So it will come around maybe 2.5% or so. So for 25 years. Or 30%, 35 years. If you say 35 years, then it will come 2%. But if you allow them 2% as a depreciation rate all over the same, for 35 years, then what will happen? The banks, they have to pay in 10-year time, not in 25 years time. So we call it that, okay, we can give you a accelerated depreciation in first few years when you pay back your loan, and rest in your rest of the life. So in our regulation, what we done that we have taken 10-year loan period, and we have divided 70% into 10, so it is around 7%. So suppose 7% if we have given for 10 years, so in next 15 years or 25 years, we give them only 1% or so. So your tariff is little front loaded, but since it is a levelized one, means you are working on the average of 25 or 35 years period, this will be not much affected. So, but it will give a comfort to the investor to pay back their dues. Now the return on equity I explained to you. Then the discount rate is also very important, because the discount rate is a kind of rate on which you will make the value of your net present value. If you work out the cash flow for next 35 years, then also you have to make it to present value concept, because then you have to find out the weighted average of today's time. So then you need the discount rate. Discount rate is determined by your weighted average cost of capital, means 70% your loan, and if it is on 10%, so it will be 7%, and 30% of return on equity, it will be at suppose 16%. So 4.8. So 7.7 plus 4.8 is 11.8 will be the discount rate, and that's why discount rate is used. Income tax is as actual. You have to pay income tax in the tariff as per the as per the rules, as per the government orders. And that way we decide the capital cost, and then operation and maintenance cost, and then your capacity utilization factor, and auxiliary consumption, and debt equity ratio, loan tenure and interest rate. I have already explained to you depreciation, working capital. Working capital is also being given to the utility, because you supply electricity and you get revenue after 1 year when you submit the bill. So for that 1 month, we give them 1 month O&M expenses like employee cost, R&M cost, A&G cost for 1 month. Receivable means how much money you will get after selling of electricity for 1 month. That is also considered, and both are added. And on that we give them a interest rate, and that interest rate we have linked with the main bank, like RBI base rate plus 250 basis point, because these rates are always changing, and if you fix it for 3 years, then it will be difficult to get the same results. So it is better to fix it to some benchmark which is already variable in nature, and that's why this regulation has covered MCLR rate. Return on equity, I have already told you, 14% on 30%. Discount rate, the formula I have given, the same formula, that is the cost of debt plus cost of equity. Since cost of debt they have taken for first 10 years at 70%, and then cost of 11th years they have taken different rate, because then MAT is also gone, and there is a different tax, corporate tax will be there. So working out after resulting WC is coming around 9.72% at that point of time when we decided this regulation. But it varies from time to time. So this does not matter. Now income tax, I have already told you as per law. Other commercial terms, yes. So I was telling you that apart from tariff, in the regulation, there are other terms and conditions like transmission and wheeling charges. Commission decide the transmission and wheeling charges in the regulation. Similarly, we have to decide the transmission losses. Whenever you supply energy in the grid, there is a loss, maybe technical, maybe little commercial also. Like in our state, the loss in transmission is around 4%. So the 4% loss, the investor has to be compensated because he has supplied, suppose, 100 units in the grid. So 4% it will be deducted, and whenever he use this power to for his own use, he will get only 96 units, and that's why transmission losses also play an important role in the regulation. Similarly, distribution also. Distribution means if your energy is not of higher amount, then it will travel into the distribution grid also to reach to your place. Suppose you have an industry of 11 kV or you have an industry of 33 kV, then it has to be distributed through distribution network also. So the same thing you have to adjust here also. In distribution, we have a loss of 10%. So 4 plus 10, 14% will be the loss he has to share with the utility. So suppose you generate 100 units, so you will get only 86%, 86% of your amount. So then there is a, as I told you, cross subsidy surcharge. If you are using your own power, there is no cross subsidy surcharge. But suppose if you are buying it from other sources, like you are not captive, but you are as a third party, you are getting this. So you have to compensate the discom business, because what happened, the tariff, in tariff, the important thing is cost of supply. But residential consumers are paying cost of supply, but BPL consumers are paying less than cost of supply. Agriculture consumers are paying less than cost of supply. So the industry and commercial consumers are compensating them through the cross subsidy element. And that is also given in the law that it should be not more than 20%. So in our state, if tariff is, suppose average tariff is 550, so they are paying around 110 paisa as a cross surcharge, and that's why this is has to be charged again. And then there is an additional surcharge. Additional charges are similar, like if you are taking power from other sources, so you have to compensate the licensee because they are paying the fixed cost of power purchase. They are buying it from their developers to whom they have already PPA. But since you are not buying power from them, so you have to compensate them also. So there is an additional charge of 40 paisa each they have to pay. But in other states, because in Gujarat we have surplus power, but in other states, if it is deficit or if it is not, more than their demand, then this type of charges are not there. So because we have surplus power and we have already done PPA, so we have committed to pay the fixed cost of the companies. And if you don't buy it from the utility, then naturally you have to compensate them for the fixed charge. This is the tariff. I don't know. I don't want to show you. This is other terms and condition. You leave it. And if it is better, if we again go to the some slides which I have missed it initially. Let me see that. Is there anything left? So yeah, electric vehicle is also coming because you have surplus of renewable energy, and solar energy is given in the daytime when the demand is low. So it is better to encourage the electric vehicle. And if electrical vehicle is charged during such time when the demand is not there but energy is there, so their tariff should be decided by the regulator. So the charging we have fixed we have taken an initiative here that anybody who have electric vehicle, they can pay or they can have a connection and they can pay around 4 rupee per unit to the discoms. Similarly, uh, uh, if they are more load than like LT consumers have, then they have to pay around 4 rupees. So this is the initiative taken by the consumers. Then there is also initiative that distributed generation is also very now common in the country, like because what happened when you generate power and inject into the higher voltage grid, then reaching up to the user's premises, it has a loss of around 14%. But if you generate where you want to use it, like farmers, if they put a solar panel in their farmhouse and use that energy in their pumps, so that is we call distributed generation. Means you are not supplying to the grid, you use in your pumps, but whatever surplus is there, you are connected with the grid as a normal connection. So that's why we call it a distributed generation kind of thing. So we have also started distributed generation principle here in Gujarat. Here the farmers are supplying electricity for their pumps, and whatever they have surplus, they can sell it to the company, and that tariff is fixed by the regulator at 3.50 rupees. Now, the last thing is that the challenges. As I told you, there the variability is very high. Intermittence nature of the RE, low flexibility of thermal plant to pick up back and down frequently. Gas plants may ramp up and ramp down quickly, but to keep costly gas-based plant on bar to handle wind variation leads merit order violation. Hydro plants can well balance the RE generation due to its quick response, but not available enough capacity with the state. As I told you, hydro, if it has a storage, or if it is a canal based and you run the canal only during such hours, which is very difficult because irrigation, that a canal is made for the irrigation purpose. So we don't have any control over it. So that is also not a good thing for the state. So we only have based on the thermal, coal plants and gas plants. So we have to make our plants flexible in nature so that the energy which we are getting as a variable kind of thing, we can accommodate the consumers to supply them 24/7 supply. So that's a whole thing, and let me close this thing, and then okay. So I'm also tired now because I think 1 hour 20 minutes is enough. If you have any question, you can ask me.
Now session is open for the question answer.
Yeah.
The participant can join.
Can you please again say the full form of RPO? RPO.
Yeah. You want to know about the RPO? What do you want to know?
Full form of RPO.
Okay. Renewable purchase obligation. Renewable purchase obligation.
Okay.
R for renewable, P for purchase, O for obligation. Yes.
Okay. And the regulations, are these after public hearing? Are these passed in the parliament, or it is already after public hearing? It is included in the main act which was passed in the parliament.
I tell you, actually what happened, the parliament makes the acts. So it is passed by the parliamentarian. Okay. Then this is notified as in the gazette. Then what happened, the regulator has to make the regulation. For that, there is a law that there should be a previous publication. Means you will make the regulation by publishing it previously. Means you first make the draft, invite comments, and then you can make it final. And then what happened, that every year after making the regulation, the regulator has to submit it before the assembly. It is placed before the assembly to give a shape of the law, and assembly passes it. So that is the process of law. So why I am saying that regulation are nothing but a law, a lower law, you can say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And
Anything else?
and the tariff of say 2 to 3 rupees for solar or something like that, is it so low nowadays because of technological development or because of government subsidy?
No, there is no subsidy. There is no subsidy for the big projects. Small projects, solar rooftop, there was subsidy because government wanted to promote it for the common man, so they have given subsidy. But for the investors, there is no subsidy. Only thing is that they have to arrange their own plant. The cost of that is gone down because of two facts. One is technology and economy of scale. Because what happened, there is a lot of demand of now these things. So the industries are manufacturing in a big way. Like China is in the, you see, 80% to 90% are being manufactured in China only. And they are flooding the market. So that price has gone down. The second thing which is very important to know that this time the cost of finance in internationally, they are charging only 1 to 2%. Somewhere they are not charging even anything because they have surplus money with them. They wanted to, invest in India or other developing country. So that is the reason why the cost of, this bids, competitive bid has gone down. And since it is a kind of, arrangement for 25 years, you will get 22 rupee 50 paise, suppose, every unit you generate for 25 years. So definitely there is a payback after 7 years. So whatever you invest in the panel and in the land, you will get back in 7 years. Next 18 years, you have an advantage. So it is not a small thing. So why this tariff has come down? Initially, it was high because there was no one, there was no competition. So some people who have manufactured it, they have got this benefit. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank
Okay. Anything else? बताइए और कुछ हमसे पूछना चाहते हैं, कुछ पूछ लीजिए.
No, sir, you have cleared all the obligations and related matters. Thank you.
Sorry, थोड़ा हम fast बोला because this is so big subject.
Yeah.
For
even one can keep only faculty development program related to regulations.
Yes.
That much of scope it has.
Yes. Actually, I wanted to make electricity regulation as a subject in the engineering college because what happened, I know that देखिए सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि I want that engineers should come on the top because they are professional, they know the subject. But if you are not prepared with the regulation, if you don't know the knowledge of regulation in the in the sector in which you are likely to go, like telecom or like air or your coal or gas or your railways, electricity. So it is better if the students are taught that this is also a good career for them. And every regulator has about 20 to 30 staff of this nature. Maybe there are two type of intakes. One is fresh graduates where we train them, and the second is your middle level, like those who have experience in the past. But since suppose in electricity there is experience of 20 years, but for real estate there is no one. So this is a good field. Why not the engineering colleges prepare for them and think over it? Maybe you can add policy also, policy and regulations. It is a good subject. Maybe it is a optional subject or maybe it is a whatever. I don't know about it. This is your subject. So, but it is a good experiment if you do it. In our country, we need good regulators, and that is the biggest objective of at least my objective is that.
Yes, sir. Even today, some companies are providing financial assistance to the educational institutes to set up the solar energy plants, and we got around 20 lakh rupees from Coal Field of India. Coal India. I don't know the exact name of the company, but we received 20 lakhs, and we have set up a big setup of solar energy in our institute. Basically, I'm not an engineer. I'm a geographer, and just to enrich my knowledge, I joined this program.
No, I'm not saying that developer is also equally important, but yes, this is a good subject. I think one should, at least give them an idea that regulations are very important. And there are several regulations. And we are now going for another set of regulation for digital world, cyber, your IT. There is no regulation. So why this is the problem? And that's why the country is also aiming for getting regulators on this field. But before that, if regulations are, firm up, what kind of regulation will be there? What kind of startup regulation? There are several things where regulations will come place. Regulation give you a certainty that, okay, this is the rule. And it is distance from the government. The interest of the regulatory bodies is that they are a kind of fair body for which government, the investor and the consumers are on the same platform. So at least you are separate from them, and then you take the benefit of everyone and get the better regulation. And that is the idea. Okay,
No,
thank you so
sir.
much.
Any
Thank
other
you.
question?
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Just wait for some time. Professor KG Prajapati, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, conclude then.
So, sir has said a very good knowledge and enlightened us with the process and the real challenges in the power sector regulations and especially the renewable energy sector, especially in Gujarat and as well as in the country. I am sure the participants will utilize and have received the best knowledge, and they will have a very maximum benefit of this. Thank you, sir, for educating us in such a generous way. I also thank you, sir, on behalf of all the participants and the organizing committee to spare time and being with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.